And the Democrats are digging in. Joining me now, National Press Secretary Michael Starr Hopkins, former senior advisor to Mitt Romney and Scott Walker's presidential campaigns, and Torrance Group President Ed Goeas. Michael, Ed, thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Michael, let me go to you first. How long does this shutdown last, and what ends it?
Well, I think the shutdown goes until January 3rd, when the adults come back in the room and Democrats take over Congress. Democrats have, on repeated attempts, tried to offer packages to the president. $25 billion in exchange for DACA, and then this time $1.3 billion funding for the wall in exchange for keeping the government open. And the president hasn't, and now he's sold out the party, and we're in this kind of chaotic, unnecessary situation.
He seemed willing to negotiate, but the Democrats are saying, no, we don't want a wall, and there's a lot of hatred for the president when in past years, Ed, they have approved the building of a wall.
Right. And this is playing right into the Democrats' hands. They would like to delay any kind of a decision on this until after they have control of the House and they come in with a new Congress, which will start the process in large part all over again. So I think we're heading to a real showdown, and one that is going to take quite a while to sort out.
Well, the longest shutdown, Michael, was back in 1995, going into 1996. It was 21 days. You know, we say you don't really feel the effect of a shutdown because they're temporarily, they're usually very, very short. But with both sides sticking their ground, and the president is making this an election, a 2020 issue, this one could really hurt us.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, if you look at the volatility in the marketplace, if you look at the fact that almost 80% of Americans don't have savings of more than $500, and now, in the holiday season, people are going to struggle to make mortgage payments to pay their rent. People are going to absolutely feel this, and someone's going to pay. And my bet is going to be that Republicans and the president are the one to pay. You know,
Ed, I asked a guest at 5 a.m. this question. I'm going to ask it to you as well. Some people are saying that this moment right now, the border wall, is a read my lips moment for President Trump. President H.W. Bush said he wouldn't raise taxes, and then we got some new taxes, and he lost re-election. Is not keeping his promise for a border wall detrimental to President Trump and his re-election?
Well, certainly it's important to his base, and if you look at the Trump base, not the Republican base, but the Trump base, the 32, 33, 34% that have been with him since the very beginning, it is very important to them that he keep that current. I think the issue is the approximately 20% of Americans that like, beyond that base, that like his policies in a broad sense, that there are some kinks in the armor. One of them being what is going on with trade and any impact that may be having on the economy. And the other is this fight specifically on a border wall, which is nuance to that second group of 20% and not specific. And I think if it becomes specific of the wall and only the wall and dig in, I think he runs some risk of losing some support from that group of voters who like his policies but don't particularly like the way he operates sometimes.
Michael, good morning. Mitch Rochelle. One of the things that I want to follow up on Lauren's question, it seems like the wall itself and the word wall has been somewhat weaponized here. Nancy Pelosi actually referred to the wall as being immoral. So is it possible that the wall itself and just that word is really what the big issue is, where both sides actually agree on the need for border security, but the word wall is really the sticking point?
Look, I'm the first person to admit that the wall has become kind of this proxy term, this proxy battle. Democrats are not against border security. We have on multiple times voted to put drones over the wall to increase the amount of troops along the border. We want to make sure that the wall, or rather the border, is secure. But spending $25 billion, we could spend $25 billion to fix the water crisis in Flint, to pay for universal health care coverage, to do things that every American are going to benefit from. Throwing money at a concrete structure so that we can feel good about political promises, that's not the way to lead the country.
Michael, I also wanted to ask you about this. A strange Christmas greeting. New York Congresswoman-elect Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, she has a way with words, and she tweeted out a Christmas message, and she said this: "Joy to the world, Merry Christmas, everyone. Here's to a holiday filled with happiness, family, and love for all people, including refugee babies in mangers and their parents." What's your reaction to that, Michael?
I think that makes a great point. I'm no expert on the Bible, but Jesus and Mary, they were fleeing persecution. They were fleeing literally King Herod, killing any child under 2 years old. And so that was a refugee. And now in the Christmas season, we're having multiple children die at the border. And I think we need to have a conversation about seeing ourselves in other shoes.
Ed, let me let you respond there.
Yeah. I don't know how to respond. I mean, Christmas is a time for reflection for most Christians in this country. It is a time to look at the benefits and the blessings that you have, and look at those that are maybe less fortunate. I think selecting that particular group as opposed to a very wide group of people that needs our attention and needs our help, I think was a little bit too selective and a step too far.
On Christmas Day. And then there's this, the outgoing Missouri Senator, Democrat Claire McCaskill, she took aim at Ocasio-Cortez and the Democratic Party. This is what she told CNN earlier this week. I'm quoting here. I hope she also realizes that the parts of the country that are rejecting the Democratic Party, like a whole lot of white working class voters, need to hear about how their work is going to be respected and the dignity of their jobs. What's your reaction to that, Michael?
Listen, I think Claire McCaskill is right as well. The Democratic Party is a big party, and it's why John Delaney talks a lot about the need for infrastructure rebuild and retraining. I think that's not only something that'll help in urban communities, but also in white working class communities in the suburbs.
But it's voices like you're laughing at, but it's voices like Ocasio-Cortez is in the far left of the Democratic Party that is affecting the Democratic Party and certainly trying to sway Nancy Pelosi.
It absolutely is, and it's one of the things we're going to see. I've warned my Democratic friends that what I'm seeing in the Democratic Party, I saw with the Tea Party after the 2010 election, that you had a few incumbents that were defeated in very safe districts. And I think what you're going to see with the Democrats this next time around is that they're going to be looking over their shoulder to a progressive coming and beating them in a primary, as opposed to where they're going to be in the general election. On top of that, you have the presidential campaign with dozens of progressives looking at running, which is only going to complicate it that much more. I think the Democrats are not in as good a position as they think they are, especially because as much as they say a big party, there is a very strong wing of this party now that's going to take them far to the left.
Who do you think, finally, each of you, Michael, you first, is the 2020 Democratic ticket?
I think John Delaney leads the ticket, and we'll see who's going to be the vice president. But as his press secretary, I think I may be a little biased.
Ed?
I actually think the one to watch is Biden. I think he, combined with a Western, younger, maybe even governor on the Democratic ticket, would be a tough ticket to go against in 2020.
Are you going to say who that younger person, the number 2 on the ticket, is?
Well, and younger is relative, but I look at people like the outgoing governor of Colorado.
Okay.
Hickenlooper's a good guy.
Ed Goeas, Michael Starr Hopkins, thank you, gentlemen, very much.